All right, hello ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's Easy Facility webinar. This will be the start of a three-part series where we'll be going through mostly the schedule will be the base of our topic, but we'll also touch on packages and self-service, and even for those of you that have trainers at your facility, we'll go into tracking commissions for them as well. So for today, part one, I'm going to start off just going through the package plans and your reservation types a bit, just discuss that overall, make sure we all have a understanding of what those are used for and how they could be utilized. After that, we'll go into the schedule. We'll go through how to book single sessions, and we'll go through how to set up something on a recurring basis as well, and we'll continue to move forward from there. All right, so the schedule here is, of course, where we book anything such as a personal training, could be a class, could be a camp or a clinic, could be a lesson of some sort. So really anything that you and your staff are making available to the clients, meaning that, for example, Matt Barzell here has a recurring training available from 2 to 3 p.m. every Wednesday going forward here. So it's where you control the schedule, you are controlling the availability. All right, now before we go here, we're going to administration, right? We'll then head over to packages. And in here, we have our reservation types and our package plans, which we'll jump into shortly. You can also sell the package plans from here. For those of you that may use this, we don't see it used a whole lot, but there are post-build packages here. A post-build package could be where you give someone, let's say, a 5-pack of lessons to use, and then they can go ahead and book all 5 of those lessons, but they're paying you at the end of those 5 lessons. They're not paying you beforehand. That is why generally we recommend the package plans that will be able to make sure that they pay you in advance. All right, but you do have that there. All right, but in here, we're going to start with our reservation types. All right, now, as you currently see, the reservation types is simply where we're listing out the different types of classes or lessons or trainings, camps or clinics, the different types of bookings we are offering to our clients, right? So we see in here some pretty standard options. We have personal training. There's a hot yoga class that's offered here. There's a cycling class. Looks like maybe there's some private tennis lessons. There are some golf lessons here as well. So you can list out as many reservation types as you need. There's no limitation on that. Now, as far as how we create one here, we're going to hit add reservation type on the top left. All right. The good thing about the reservation types here is that over time, as you keep entering in more and more of these, a lot of it will be set up for you. Now, with that being said, let's say in here, we're offering, let's say, personal training, let's say for 2 hours, right? We have a half hour, an hour so far. So enter that in here. Beyond that, can schedule. This stays checked off typically at all times to make sure you can take this personal training here and simply place it on the schedule. Can sell, we leave that checked off as well, just to make sure that when a client goes to book into this, they are paying for that upfront, right? We're not having any outstanding balances there. So most of the time, these will stay checked off here as is. All right. Beyond that, there are revenue categories here to help you track the revenue for each lesson or training here. Class size, this is of course very subjective. For personal training, we can safely leave this at 1, but maybe this was a small group training. We want to offer this as class size of 5. Maybe it's a full-blown yoga class. We say that, you know what, we're allowing 20 people in here. So this number here for the class size should always be the maximum number you can hold for that period of time. All right, so we'll just put this back to 1 here. All right, as you see down below, I have assigned a few colors to each one of these reservations here. So you can go through up here and assign a color if you like to. Throw, let's say, a blue in here. The benefit of doing that is that way over time, look at the calendar. You just see a certain color, you may hopefully know what that is right then and there. So have that as an option here. Down here, session length. This is not asking you the start time to the end time. It's more asking you just simply how long will this run for. So we said this is running for 2 hours, so we'll just put this to 2 hours. You have your 15-minute intervals here. If you have half-hour intervals on your calendar, you would have obviously a different view there. All right, but really your main focus here is the reservation type, class size, the color, and the session length. Right down here, it's saying default allow free bookings. You'd only check this off if this personal training here is always offered for free no matter what. You have that option there if you do that or something like that. Reservation category here, the part 2 of this will really dive more into self-service. This ties into self-service, but also more appropriately, the MemberMe Plus application. So we'll get to that too, but for those of you that are already utilizing the MemberMe Plus app, you know that if you check this here, when I book this on the calendar, it will also appear on that mobile phone app as well. All right, so we'll save this for now. Like I said, no limitations. You enter in as many reservation types as you need. And the benefit of this, as we saw in the schedule, if I now go just to book something here for a trainer, let's say from 4 to 5, when I click at 4 o'clock here, right, I just hit the drop down for the reservation type, enter in personal training for 1 hour, right? So all of the reservation types you create are now available here. So if I choose hot yoga, right, the title, the class size, the time frame, it's telling us to verify that up here. Everything is entered in for you. You can, of course, make any changes here if you need to as well. All right. From this point, you would hit save and finish. And now we have this saved on the calendar here. So we'll go through more of that in a bit, but that's the initial idea. That's the reason why if we go back to packages here in the reservation types, list out all of your sessions here. That way they're then available to be inputted on the calendar. All right, so this is step number 1, really listing out and entering in all the different sessions and classes and lessons and trainings you might be offering. All right, now from here, the other part of this, the really big part of this, is making sure that, like I've said, before they book in, making sure they pay first, right? So those payments will all come from a package plan, which we have here on the top left. Now, once again, we already have some reservation types, so it makes sense we would have some package plans here as well. So if we just go through the list, once again, could be a class like hot yoga, there's private lessons, there's a clinic here, there's an Insanity Live here, maybe you host an online virtual session, so you have stuff like that there. But you really, once again, no limitations here. You create as many variations of the package plans as you might need, right? And when I'm saying variations, just to be clear, for example, we're offering a hot yoga class that a client could attend and book into. So up here, we have 2 package plans for that. We have an 8-pack. We also have a 5-pack where they could purchase those in advance, right? So it may be more to enter in up front, but you want to enter in as much information here as you can. That way, when you utilize the schedule, you have a good portion of everything really entered in for you, where the systems are the more of the work for you than you for it. All right. Now, once again, if you go through an example here, right? So to enter a package plan, we hit add new package plan on the top left, right? Now, the majority of the package plans that get created are typically individual, which we can click on right here. I will discuss recurring in a moment. That'll be a little bit different, right? So for individual here, right, and for any package plan, individual or recurring, they all need to be associated with a reservation type, right? That helps to ensure that, okay, if I buy, this package plan for personal training 1 hour, just helps to make sure that they use, that the sessions from this only for the hour training, not a half hour or 2 hours. So helps everything get lined up in the system. Your description here will essentially act as the name of the package plan. If I'm a client and I go to your self-service site to go ahead and purchase this, I will see this initially. That will be the title, right? So maybe in here we're offering, let's say a 20-pack, a very large package plan, a 20-pack for, let's say 1 hour training here. So just make sure whatever you type in here is clear and descriptive. And for example, if you had a 10-pack and a 5-pack of this, right? Even more so, put 20 pack of 1 hour training. Don't just enter in 1 hour training for all of them. It'll be very confusing to the clients there, right? Beyond that, you can compensate a package to a client if maybe you're really offering something for free, maybe for that one situation there. Add that feature if you need it. All right, but then one of the more vital areas of the package plan, we have the sessions here. So really 3 options here. If this was just offering 1 session for a client to use, then great, we can leave it on single. In this case, it's a 20 pack, so I will click on multiple and simply fill in 20 sessions here. All right, there is another option here for minimum, maximum. So maybe the minimum is 1, the maximum is 20. So when a client goes to buy a package plan, they can choose, okay, I'll do 1 session, I'll do maybe 7 or 13, 15, whatever their number might be there, they can enter in. The only way this will work though is that the per session rate is always the same, right? If you offer a 5 pack for, let's say, $50, right? But then if they throw in another session, maybe it goes up to $60, that will then work because it's always going up by $10 there. So don't initially recommend that right off the bat, but if you offer a lot of large package plans, you could use this here as well. All right, but we'll keep this at 20 sessions here. Beyond that, then have our start date here. And this is really the most important area of the package plan. Have to be very careful with the dates, right? So if we're offering this personal training package plan and anyone can buy it and utilize it all year round, then you don't want to fill in a date here. You just simply want to hit default to the sale date. So that meaning just whatever day I buy this on, I can start using it that same day. All right, so more often than not, this should be the case here. If this was a package plan that's maybe only offered for a certain period of time during the year, then you would fill in a start date here. Maybe this is only offered from November, let's say, to December, right? So I fill in November 1st, being that's the first day they can start using this, but then my package length would just be 2 months, putting to the end of the year, the end of December. All right. So that would really be the only time you enter a specific date in here. Otherwise, leave this defaulted to the sale date. All right. Now, if I also leave 2 months in here, while defaulting this to the sale date, that means that I now, if I buy this today, I have until, in this example, December 13th to use all 20 of these sessions, right? Now, with that being said, down here it says booking out of range. So let's say 2 months go by, but I've only used 15 of my sessions, meaning I've left 5 behind, right? So those 5 sessions are now seen as expired, but if you leave it on allow here, they can still use those expired sessions to book going forward, right? Beyond that, the other option here is disallow. We typically see this get set up more often than not. This would be the opposite. So same thing, I've left 5 sessions behind, they're expired. Disallowable, then tell a client, okay, you can no longer access those 5 expired sessions. You now have to buy a new package plan if you wish to keep booking trainings. So that's what these two relate to here. Like I said, we typically see this set up more often than not, just to make sure people are always buying new package plans there. All right, so I'll leave this set up for now here. Beyond that, there is an auto renewal down here. Typically don't see this a whole lot for a package plan. Typically an auto renew you would have maybe for a monthly or maybe a yearly or a seasonal recurring membership where they pay you each and every month going forward. But you have it here if you'd like to use it. Beyond that, you are able to share this package plan with other clients. For anyone on here that was also on our relationship family webinar, we went over this as well. So if a client buys this package plan, they want to share it with their spouse or maybe their children, that's where we really see it come up more often than not. When you hit this drop down here, you just simply want to hit the bottom option where it's saying all related clients. The reason for that, if I'm John Doe, the father, and I attach my child to my account, I would like to share some sessions with him, right? You have to then put all child clients, which makes sense. But what if they then bring their spouse there, right? Well, the spouse isn't really a child, so all related clients really just covers every possible relationship type here. So that way when the client buys this, whether it's a spouse, a sibling, a child, a grandparent, a grandchild, it'll cover all of those types there. All right, so always choose this option here. And then for those of you that maybe want to have a client sign a waiver before they book and pay into a session of any kind, you can attach those in here. So maybe I enter in a liability waiver. So before I can buy this now, I will have to sign this waiver, then I can make my payment, and then I can make my booking on the calendar. All right, so those are really the main steps here. Right, so this is the main details page. Obviously, I went through a lot of what's in here. Keep in mind, though, that, for example, you don't have to put a package length there, right? Maybe your setup is you're allowed them to book out of range, right? It's all very flexible, all customizable. You can make any changes here at any time. All right. Now, with that being said, the next step here would be billing, right? So in here, it simply asks you to enter in the fee. So if the fee here, let's say per session is $10, then I'll enter $10 in here. That way it's going to just charge them for, for all the 20 sessions, they'll be charged $10 a piece. Once again, what we see more often than not, just from a invoice perspective, is if, let's say I put the fee here as $200, this way the client can pay you $200 up front for all 20 sessions. And then that way when they go to book, they don't have to pay you for each one as they book. They've already paid you, they can just book freely from here on out. So typically seen as a bit of a simpler option, but obviously either one will work here. All right. Beyond that, default invoice option. This should always be set to single invoice in the package plan itself. If you don't set this up here, it's just an extra step you'll have going forward. So try to set that up beforehand if you can. Down here, sell online. So if a client of ours goes to self-service and we say, you know what, we'll allow them to buy this through self-service, hit the drop down here. We once again always recommend paid in full just to make sure that everyone pays the full $200 there. If this is on allowed balances here, then they could pay you, $1 today, but then the other $1.99 they owe you, it won't be charged for. So just helps to limit any balances or open invoices. All right. For those of you that have memberships at the facility as well, you may have some classes or maybe some trainings that are only offered to members. So you could check off the members only box here. That way, when a client goes to self-service, if they want to buy this package plan, if they don't have a membership, it will stop them. It will say, hey, please go purchase a membership plan first, then you can purchase this here. So that can sort of help with maybe certain incentives, trying to get people to sign up for the membership first before anything else. You do have features like that as well. All right. Beyond that, you can throw discounts in here. Anything you put in for an additional description will be seen by you and the clients. Internal remarks, anything in here is only seen by you and your staff. So just be mindful what goes into each section there. All right, but we'll hit next at the bottom. And we're now brought to the summary page. So we see simply everything we filled out here already. You can, of course, go back to details and billing, make any changes at any time. All right, but from here, we now click on Add Package Plan, right? And we now see we have this saved right up here at the top. So same thing as the reservation types, right? We enter the pricing in here. That way when a client goes to choose what they want to purchase, everything's laid out for them right here and now. All right. So once again, for any bookings that you were controlling the availability for, those will go in as package plans and reservation types. So these are really your first two steps here, just trying to build up the pricing and the different types of sessions and reservations you're offering overall. All right. So from here, right, generally, typically the next step would be, okay, how is the client going to purchase this, right? Now, once again, the next webinar we do, part 2, will go into self-service, so we'll discuss that then. But it's also important to know, how are we selling this in-house to the client? What if they walk up to the front desk or just call us, right? So in the system, there are 3 different areas you can sell a package plan from as an administrator. However, they're all done the same exact way. So if you want to sell a package, you could just simply go to packages here and hit sell package right up here. Right, it'll ask you to choose a client, choose a package, and actually sell it. That's one area. The other area, and the one that I typically recommend, is if you go to clients here, and let's say we're going to sell a package plan to Dave Grohl, for example. All right, so on any client's profile, you can go up to the packages tab here. All right, and we see this client already has a few packages already. But over on the right side, it says new package here. So you can click on this. And from there, it really brings you back to the same page we just were before. I recommend this because it basically jumps ahead a step forward. You don't have to choose a client here, so one less thing you have to do. From here, we can just choose, let's say, this 20 pack for 1 hour training, and we'll hit select on the right side. Right. Now remember, we had gone through and we had entered in that liability waiver to be signed for first. So the client has to sign this first, right? If you have a signature pad connected to your computer, it will connect to this automatically. All right, but from here, we'll hit save. All right. Now from this point, we see who the client is. We see the package plan they're getting. On here, right, we see it's a liability waiver they signed for. If you need to switch this, you can for any reason. You could then export this as a digital copy, but as long as they sign it first here, what we just went through, it'll be saved on their profile automatically, right? From here though, as an admin, you will hit finish and pay, all right? And what you'll notice right now is in the background here, right? It might be a bit grayed out for some of you, but in the background, we have the invoice itself, right? But for the package plan, once again, we want to have them make sure they pay us right away up front. So in here, it brings you to where you can record this right away. So also a quick FYI, if a client has any money on account, it'll pop up with that first, trying to get you to use this first. But more often than not, first option usually brings you to his cash. From there, you can take it by check or billing code, account credit, gift card for those of you that may offer that. If your merchant or gateway allows you to use direct debit, you have that option here as well. Credit card processing, meaning you're processing through Easy Facility with someone like OpenEdge or Moneris. For any of you that might be up in Canada, you would use Moneris there. And you have the external options as well. All right. But for now, we'll enter in the total balance for $200. We'll put a memo in here as well. All right. When you hit take payment, right, this client here, Dave Grohl, has now paid for all 20 of these sessions up front. So now when this client goes to book, he doesn't have to pay. He can just freely book onto any days or times of his choosing. All right. So that is generally the first step there, creating these reservations, creating these package plans, allowing the clients to purchase them when they are ready. Now, if we hit done here, you'll notice we're brought back to the client's profile right on here. And we now see down here, he has the personal training 1 hour package plan with the 20 sessions. Once again, we had set that package where it can be shared with all related clients. So it's saying with 3 here, because on Dave Grohl's account, he has 3 people attached to his profile, right? So that's the idea. There are some hidden features with sharing the package plans and who can really use them. You'll have some flexibility with that as well. All right, so that's really the first step there, right? Creating those package plans and selling them. So the other portion here now is really just the schedule, right? Now, once again, the main thing with the schedule is you have complete control for the rest, the reservation types in the sessions. Only thing you may not have complete control over is if you are allowing a client to book a rental through self-service. The reason you want to have complete control there is because the clients can look at the calendar on self-service. As long as they see nothing's booked in that venue or time or day, they can book that right then and there. Right, but we'll get to that in the next call as well with the rentals. But from here, right, let's just start off with a simple example. So Brandon McManus here, right, he's offering a 1 hour personal training today, let's say from 7 to 8 p.m., right? So once again, just like we did for hot yoga, click at your start time, which in this case is the cell for 7 o'clock, All right. Now in here, we are sticking with sessions for anything that's a reservation type, and we see the reason for that right down here. So we'll hit the drop down. If I simply choose personal training 1 hour, once again, it verifies that, okay, it's running for 60 minutes, running for 1 hour. It puts in the class size. We have the title here. The title is what you see as an admin on the calendar here. The public title is what the clients will see on self-service. Generally speaking, they will stay the same, but if you want to modify those, just so you know the difference there. All right. Further up here, it's saying start time, end time. We have that filled in automatically. So from this point, you can hit save and finish, and we now have this on the calendar, right? So maybe that's just a session. He says, you know what, I'll offer up a personal training from 7 to 8. That way, when a client sees it on self-service, whoever it is, they can just book into that right then and there. All right. So from here, if the admin, let's say the trainer here, Brandon McManus, wants to book in this client, we can click on this reservation here. On the top left, you can hit register client, right? And in here, let's say we enter in Dave Grohl, right? We'll choose a client's name below, all right? Now down here, it's going to show us the different package plans that Dave either can currently use or the ones he has purchased potentially in the past, right? Now, if we look at the bottom, we see his 20 pack for personal training here. So all we have to do on the right side is hit this package. It will then tell you client Dave Grohl was registered successfully. When you then hit finish, once again brings you back to the schedule. And we now see that since this was a class size of 1, whatever client books in here, their name will be replaced with the title. So that would be especially helpful if your trainers look on there, they have a bunch of trainings and lessons throughout the day, assuming it's a class size of 1, they just look throughout, they just instantly see who the client is so they know who to work with and look for right away. All right, so that's just a single booking here. The other option you would have here would be a recurring booking. Now, a recurring booking we typically see it for, it could be maybe a client request, hey, let's block off the next couple of Wednesdays here for a training. I would say more often than not, we see it a lot for maybe a rental, could be for a camp or clinic potentially as well, right? So let's just say for this example, we throw in another personal training here, but let's say this time it will be with Matt Barzell, all right? So let's say it's going from 5 to 6 here. So same thing, click at 5 o'clock, right? And your first steps here are the same. Hit the drop down, for personal training 1 hour, puts in the 5 to 6. We have everything the same here. One of the other things you can do here as well, especially for trainings, the training might be with Matt Barzell, right? But maybe he's using one of the fields here or one of the courts, one of the classrooms. So let's say he's using, Mantle Field here, for example, right? So this way the training itself is with Matt Barzell, but it will also block off Mantle Field. That is how you avoid a double booking if you have trainers and venues on the calendar, right? So you can do that there as well. Maybe they're using 2 fields. You can, just hold down control and you can select both of them at the same time there. So have that feature there available if you would need that. And I'll leave that in here for now. All right, but from this point, we now want to take this exact booking here and copy it for the rest of the year. So if I go down to number 2, where it's saying select the recurring pattern, all right, in here, there's only 3 steps you generally will have to follow at most, right? So the first step here is your pattern, right? The system needs to know what type of recurrence is this. Is it daily? Is it weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, yearly? We'll go with weekly since we're booking every Wednesday here, all right? Your second step is where it's saying on these days. Now in here, just something needs to know, okay, what day are we blocking off? So if we hit Wednesday here, then great, we can leave it at that. Maybe it's the Wednesday and Friday. You can always add other days here as you need to. All right. And the third step here is the range. Simply how long is this being booked for, right? How long is this running for on the calendar? So if you go with end after, let's say we enter 20 total sessions, that's fine. It will just simply put the next 20 Wednesdays on the calendar. However, I recommend where it's saying end by this date. The reason I recommend that is in here, gives you a monthly calendar to look through. I generally think this is a bit safer. So as you go throughout your calendar here, maybe you see this Wednesday here, you say, oh, you know what, that's a conflict. So then before you book this, you kind of know ahead of time to take care of that. But overall, it's a bit of a safer view here. So we'll go to the end of December, December 30th. All right. So it's those 3 steps. It's your pattern, it's the days you're blocking off, and simply the range, how long this is running for, right? Everything in the middle here, you want to completely ignore this info here, everything I just highlighted. The reason for that, this is just here as a reference to the first booking that you made, right? If you take this end date and put this to the end of December, then you're blocking off every hour of every day from October 14th to December 30th for that trainer. So avoid that overall, but just to kind of show you why that would not be a good thing to have there. All right. Okay, so from here, we can now book this in, right? Now, the way we will do that is if I hit add new occurrences right now, it will add in this example, these 24 reservations, right? Now, right now it's saying 24 reservations, but really it's 12. The reason for that is each day here is blocking off 2 resources. It's blocking off the trainer and the field, right? Same thing for the 21st, same thing for the 28th, into November 4th and so forth from there. The reason for that is because we initially blocked off the trainer and the venue they're using, which is why it's saying 24. So you really have half of this here, but it's saying 24 because we physically blocked off 24 different venues here. Right, that is the idea. So from here, same thing, right? We'll hit save and finish. We now have this inputted on the calendar. And like I said, we see that the training is with Matt Barzell in that yellow color there, but we're blocking off Mantle Field just to make sure no one else books that during that time, right? Now, if I click on the Mantle Field reservation here, notice that I don't have register client here, right? Because I'm not booking a client with the field necessarily. We are booking the client with the trainer. So even if you map it to a different field or venue, the booking is always with the trainer at all times. All right. So from here, same thing. I can click on register client. Down here, we'll throw in Dave Grohl again. All right. And at this point, since we booked out recurring sessions here, when we look at the package plan, we're actually going to have a few different options here. So going towards your right side once again, so the first initial option here, right, same thing. If I hit this package, that is just booking this client for the reservation today on the 14th, right? The second option is where it's saying here, all sessions. So if I click on that, it will book him into the 12 sessions that we just booked out from here, right? Those 12 recurring sessions there. And if I hit custom, if I click on this, you can maybe say, okay, they'll book today and next week, but they'll skip the 3rd week and restart the 4th week. So you have options like that there too, if they want to pick and choose which ones they're attending. All right, but for this example, I will hit all sessions here. And when you click on that, it gives you the same message. Okay, actually, my apologies here. So this client here has these 20 reservations, right? These 20 sessions to book, right? The package plan that we gave this client put his availability until the middle of December, December 13th, I believe. So what it's saying here is that 6 of the sessions that this client's trying to book into are out of the range of the package plan start date, end date. So if you hit book remaining as reserved here, those last 6 sessions he tried to book will be marked in there as reserved as a placeholder. When they then get more sessions, they could go in there and rebook themselves in as well. All right, so that's also could be a reason why maybe you don't want to set up the dates there, give them a bit more room to work with, but all depends on your setup there. If you want more control, it may come in handy as well. All right, but We see Dave Grohl's booked in here successfully. So we'll go ahead and hit finish here, right? At this point, we really get the same information. We see Dave Grohl's booked in here. If I go to the following Wednesday, I see him booked there again. If let's say I go further into December, let's say December 23rd here, right? So Dave Grohl is not in that red color like he was previously. He's now in this pink color here, right? So why is that? The reason for that is he's marked in here as reserved, right? And for those of you that have been using the schedule for a while, you know there's a color legend here. So if we open this up, it tells us that, okay, if they're marked as pink, it's reserved. It's holding it for that client, but they're not officially booked in with a package plan yet. So that's why I said it's more as a placeholder. They can stay in there, but they do not have priority. If someone else walked up to this session booked in with a package plan, they will get the priority because it's seen that they have paid or they're going to pay for that with their package plan. All right, but overall, that's how we get the schedule to operate here, where we're creating the single bookings and the recurring ones going forward. Of course, try to enter in as much information first to your package plans and reservation types. That way, once you get here, a lot of this will be filled in for you from the start. All right. Okay, so at this time, I'd like to open up the floor for any questions. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to submit those. Once again, you should be able to find the question section in your control panel as well. All right, and while we do wait for some potential questions to load in, so today we really wanted to just do an introduction for the schedule, show you guys how to make the bookings on here and how to set up the package plans as well. Next time we speak, we'll treat this more as like a phase training, but we'll go over the rentals, then we'll go into self-service. And then really the part 3 of this is where we'll really go into the tracking commissions for any trainers you would have there. Just to show you guys briefly where those commissions would be set up, just so you know for the future. If you go to administration, then you go down here to location and trainer setup, then just simply click on your facility, right? All the way at the bottom of this page here, we have your trainers entered in, right? Just for reference, this is also the same area where your venues, your different actual spaces at the facility are entered in as well. You have those here. All right. But for the trainers, this is where we would go ahead and enter in their commissions. You know, how much do they get for, completing a session? Are they getting a percentage for selling something? Are they getting maybe a flat rate? So this section out here will refer to everything that client does, right? If I throw in $20 an hour here for, let's say, Matt Doe here, for example, right? That means no matter what session, right, whether it's a training, a yoga class, a lesson, no matter what it is, if it goes for an hour, he's getting $20 from that at every single time, no matter what it is, right? Now, generally, I don't recommend this is set up here. I recommend it's more set up down here, where you see the trainers listed in. And if you notice to the right side, they actually have some pay coins here, right? So the first one here is service specific. I recommend using this because in here, if we hit the pay coin, right? So we have the trainer here, we have the reservation types to choose from. So maybe for personal training 1 hour, right? This trainer gets a flat rate of, let's say $20, right? So I could enter that in here. And when I add this rate in, that's what he gets there, right? But let's say that he also offers some private tennis lessons, right? So even though they're both 1 hour, for a personal training, maybe he gets paid differently than a private tennis lesson, right? Maybe for a tennis lesson, he actually gets $30 instead. Add that in there. So this allows you to control more what they get for each specific reservation type. So this is what we will be working towards. There is a larger report for that up here as well. All right, but just a brief introduction to where you can find that if you want to jump ahead. And once again, that's out in administration and then inside location and trainer setup. All right. Okay, so how do you properly refund somebody if a mistake is made in the billing package plan? Okay, so refunding a client for anything really all comes down to the merchant or gateway you're working with, right? Generally speaking, they all take their refunds differently. For example, for those of you that are with OpenEdge or Constellation Payments potentially, or CSI, you know that you refund right through the software here. But for example, if anyone here is with Authorize.net, which would be a gateway, you can reverse the package in here, but the refund would actually be done through the gateway's own portal. So I can't really go through a refund because there would be too many options to go through depending on what you have. But if we go to clients here, and let's say we go to Dave Grohl again, and we'll go to his packages tab. So no matter who you're with, right, the first steps are always the same here, reversing the package plan. So for example, Dave Grohl has this one here, right? Private dual tennis lesson for a half hour. So let's say he says, you know what? I don't want to use this package plan anymore, right? I've already paid for it. So go to the package plan. Towards the right side, you want to hit this red X here. Now, when you click on this, it's not completely deleting it yet because you now have to tell it what you're looking to do with this package plan. Now, this first line right up here, I would say that 99% of the time, you're clicking this option. It's saying that it will reverse the billing before deleting the package plan. What that means is that when we click on this, for the example, this was $100 here, right? So if I reverse the billing for the $100, that will take the $100 and put it as money on account for the client. So that way, when you need to refund it, it's just on their personal tab. You can refund it right away, or even more so if it's through a gateway's portal like Authorize.net, you can process that $100 refund through there as well. So I'll enter, let's say, test in here. Most important thing with this, always choose original bill date. So click on that here. That way it knows what to properly map back to. It doesn't leave any dates behind or any sessions behind. So you go ahead and hit submit, right? And what you'll notice here is that this package plan is no longer here, no longer active, right? If you go to all packages, you can occasionally see what they still had there. But when I go to personal now, right? So previously there was $130 on account here. Now it's $230 because of the $100 we just reversed. So if this was a merchant, a direct merchant processing through the software here, you would hit refund all, and if they paid by credit card, refund by credit card, vice versa from there. If you're with a gateway, you just have to go into that portal. You'll see that those payments load up in there as well, right? But for the refund itself, that really comes down to who's helping you with the credit card payments in the system. All right, so definitely feel free to keep throwing in more questions. Once again, I'd like to do this on every webinar we host. For maybe if this is anyone on here, it's your first webinar. If you would like to listen back to any previous webinars we have done in the past, if you just simply go to easyfacility.com, our website here, towards the right, hover over the drop down for resources and click on events and webinars. And here's where you can register for today, of course, but we also have all the archived webinars in here. We've done ones on, like I said, last time we did one on relationships. We've done some stuff on billing and how clients can check into the facility. We've done some trainings on MemberMe Plus and self-service, which we'll get into a bit more next time we speak as well. We've done stuff on groups and registrations. Groups and registrations typically for leagues, tournaments, team tracking, maybe a camper clinic as well. So definitely look through these as well. These are great for any of you that are maybe bringing on new employees. You have large amounts of staff there. Definitely have them look through these too. These are great teaching resources as well. Beyond the webinars, on every single Easy Facility account, there is a help icon on the top right here. If you click on this, it brings you to our support center. If you type in a question here, it'll pop up with some videos and articles to look at. You have our US support team, you have our UK support team for anyone maybe from the UK right now. Have some topics down here, so definitely multiple resources to utilize. Feel free to jump into that there as well. All right, looks like we maybe have another question here. Okay, where was the area you entered the trainers' names? Okay, so to enter in the trainers on the calendar on the schedule here, if you go to administration, we then go to location and trainer setup down here, then simply click on your facility. All right, go all the way down to the bottom. You have your trainers right up here, and you could just start to enter the names in here, then just hit add trainer, they'll be entered in there. One quick thing to note here, the schedule groups is what separates, let's say, the trainers from your other venues, right? So if you're entering trainers on your schedule, go to schedule groups, actually type in trainers here, much what we have down there. That way, when you enter the names of the trainers, they have a schedule group that they can be attached to here as well. All right, and same thing for the venues, right? We have down here tennis court 1 and 2, we have that underneath the schedule group of tennis courts. So schedule group should typically go in first, then you can fill in your trainers and venues. If you need to reorder them, maybe, for example, you're saying that the tennis court should be above the driving range, you can reorder them here however you see fit. Absolutely, you got it. All right. All right, just some other smaller things to note here as well. If you need to delete something from the calendar, just simply hit delete mode off up here. You then see the entire calendar goes red. So if I just want to delete this personal training here, click on this. This training here is part of a recurring pattern on the calendar. So if I hit just this one, it would just delete this booking here. But if I hit delete all, it allows us to delete all of these trainings here. So I can hit delete and you can remove all of those at once. If it was a one-time booking, then you can of course only remove that one there. If we click on this again, you could also remove everything from today or all the recurring bookings from the past or in the future. You can use a custom option here as well. So a few different deletion options here. All these question marks go through some brief explainers and descriptions as well. All right. Right now, we are in the day view for the calendar. If I hover over schedule, I can switch this to, let's say, a week view where I can just scroll through every day of the week. I can also switch this to a monthly view where I can, let's say, look at every Wednesday in the month. I could look at every Thursday in the month. So there are different ways to view it. There isn't really one way better than the other. It just is whatever you feel most comfortable with. The other one here, which I know gets a lot of praise, it's a bit easier to see sometimes, is a date book. So date book is the same thing, it's just now more top to bottom. I know sometimes dependent on the amount of trainers or venues you have in your calendar, this is sometimes easier to sort through as well. All right, you can still go to a week view or still go to a monthly view there as well. All right, so definitely feel free to play around with that. When you log in, whatever you set this to, it should be set to that automatically every time you log in again. All right. So that's really the main features with the schedule. Like I said, we'll go through self-service and we'll go through the rentals next time on part 2, and we'll start to go through the commissions for the trainers as well. All right. All right, so there's no more questions loading in here. We'll wrap here for today. Once again, greatly appreciate everyone hopping on here. Once again, head over to our website, go to the resources tab. You'll find the webinars through there. And of course, any questions, comments, or concerns you ever have, reach out to our support team and we are always here to help. All right, so everyone, you have a great rest of the day and we will talk soon. Thank you very much.